Welcome to She Chose Joy with Melanie, where we discuss all things love, freedom, wellness, and joy. I'm your host, Melanie Foote-Davis, also known as the Soul Whisperer. Today's guest is Ty Miller, an empathy-driven leader with over 20 years of experience in the technology, real estate, and healthcare industries. She is the self-proclaimed relationship whisperer, bringing people and ideas together to move the world forward. What she's most excited about is loving and nurturing her 3 incredible children. She's one of those people who pulled my heartstrings ever so gently when I met her. And I'm honored to call her my sister friend and welcome her into my circle. So get comfortable and get yourself situated so that you can be present for my chat with Ty. Lean in to hear how Ty made a series of courageous decisions to own her power and reclaim her freedom. Hey, welcome to She Chose Joy podcast. I am super excited that you agreed to come out and play with me today.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I am super excited as well. And full disclosure, a little nervous too. So,
Well, hey, you know what? I am too. I haven't done this. It's my Perfectly Imperfect podcast that I started in 2020 because I've always wanted to do one. Well, I can't say always, but I wanted to do one for many years. And I kept shying away from it because I didn't have the know-how and all of those things. And in 2020, I said, you know what? Let's just do it. And to be honest with you, I realized just by doing it, and I said, well, I'll just grow my wings as I fly, right? And perfection is subjective. Like, who gets to decide? And here's the thing.
absolutely.
Like, here's the thing. I felt like doing that during that time, having like these yummy conversations with my sisters, it helped to save me during that time. It was very
Mm.
nourishing and nurturing and satisfying. And so you being here, like, you get to contribute to that. And
And exactly what you say it does for you, it does the exact same for me. Whenever you get to connect with someone who
mhm,
feels very much like a kindred spirit,
mhm,
it like you said, it feels just like girlfriend talk. It also feels
mhm.
therapeutic,
Yeah.
as well. So I take every chance I can get to do that.
Yes, yes. And like, speaking of kindred spirits, it's like you're here because of that. One of the things I like to practice is trusting my intuition and trusting the divine and being detached from where it leads or any of that. And there is something about you. I am not even going to try to put a word to it, but when we first met, I there was some type of energetic connection, and it just kept pulling me in. And so there's something really special about you, and I know that you are placed on my path on purpose.
Wow.
And
Yes.
so I am
Yes.
like when you said
And
yes
you
to
you
being
know
here, it's like
you know the feeling is mutual, and I'm also, because I'm practicing receiving that as well,
Mhm,
because that instant programming is that no, there wasn't anything special. No, you're
mhm.
right, there was. I felt it too. I didn't know. I thought I was going to be weird if I told you, so I'm glad you said it first. But I definitely felt it. I definitely felt that just that instant connection. Like, this is somebody who I want to talk to, endlessly. And I don't know how we're going to do it, but thankfully it worked out, and we're here now.
Yes, yes, and yes. And you know what? Being weird is okay because that makes us unique. I am corny. here's my thing. If Issa Rae is the awkward Black girl, then I'm the corny Black girl. And I embrace that, I embrace that.
Yes, I am getting there too. I have all the things that I know I used to make fun of, even like my grandparents or my parents when I was growing up. I am embracing all of those things now. I have the corny mom jokes. I am awkward. I am corny. I am silly. I'm all of those things, and I'm not just one. So I'll embrace all of that.
Yes, and it's so freeing to do that, right?
Yes, yes. That
Yeah.
freedom is it's everything for me. It means so much in how you carry that, that freedom through every part of your life. And then as you start to
Hmm.
revisit some things and portions of your lives when maybe you didn't feel as free, it kind of helps you through that whole the healing process. And for me, I don't know about you, but my journey is ever evolving. I'm not healed. To me is not, it's not the destination, the end point. It's like I am a work in progress, and the healing
Hmm.
is continuous.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all are. We're healing. Like I tell my clients sometimes, Michelle Obama is not the only one becoming. We all are,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And even if we use her as an example, like there are many times that um someone, like, we're constantly reaching for something, like reaching to achieve something that we determine success. And some may say that her becoming the first lady of the most powerful nation in the world is like where do you go from there? And so she is a perfect example to show that yes, and there's more, and I
Mhm.
still continue to evolve. And so in some ways it also gives others permission to take themselves off the hook and say, yes, I too am evolving, I am expanding, and I am healing. Like, and it's all like an ongoing process.
Absolutely. And it's one thing for me that always sticks out is that you can, whether you manifest or you pray or meditate or whatever that is, and you're asking for something greater, that does not mean that you aren't grateful for the things that you already have, right? I used to think
Yes.
that, maybe I couldn't ask for more because then that means I'm not, thankful and grateful for what I
Hmm.
have. And I can do that together. It's the duality of it all, right? Like
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
all those things can be true at the same time. I can be grateful for what I have and still aspire to continue my healing or to level up in any other area of my life. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned freedom earlier, which is which is perfect segue into our topic today, because well, one of the things that we had talked about was the many ways that you reclaimed your freedom. And
Oh yeah.
so yeah, so just a moment ago you mentioned like pockets where you may not have felt so free. Can you like speak to that a little bit? Like what were
Oh
you
yeah.
referencing when you said that?
Yeah, I mean, as with anything, right? It starts in your childhood, right? It starts with
Hmm.
with your upbringing and the experiences. A lot of what you or what I was exposed to. So one growing up in this country, a black little girl,
Hmm.
growing up and not so affluent part of town. You definitely learn a lot, that I think you learn along the way because these are tools and that you're given that are meant to help you survive. It's to
Mm.
make you to get from one day to the next. So I often talk about when I was younger, one of the things that, was sort of my armor was I wouldn't smile. If
Mm.
you were walking to school, walking the streets to school with your friends, or you're riding the bus or something like that, I mean, if you're sitting there, looking, goofy and smiling
Mhm.
or whatever, that instantly made you a target. Especially in an
Mm.
environment where you felt like you needed to be hard and tough, because that proved that was hardened and tough was equated to strength. And that was
Mm.
something that I learned as a child, that I needed to be rough and tough, right? Even how I dressed, it was, it was the 90s. So, we had some questionable fashion choices. But at the same time, it was me sort of hardening myself. And that was not who I was at my core. As I've gotten older, I've had to, part of reclaiming my freedom is really getting in tune with who I am authentically. And like I said before, I am silly, I am goofy, I am funny, I'm corny and awkward and all of those things. And I had to hide all of those things about me because I needed to be strong, and when I was out in the streets, trying to make sure that I didn't become a target. But as I've gotten older, I have learned that softness, that empathy, that all of that's my gift. That's my superpower. That's the thing that makes me, just special. That's my special sauce, So it has taken a great deal of unlearning for me, of not having to be hard when I walk in the room. I don't have to, I can smile and say, hi, how's everybody doing? I can tell a corny mom joke and to soften the room. And that's really how it kind of moved into this, sort of understanding who I am with regard to relationships. I think everything is a relationship, right? Like not just my interaction with my mail carrier is a relationship. The cashier at the Whole Foods, that's a relationship. So if you think about it as an energy exchange, that's where I've started to learn that showing up authentically as myself allows me to have better energy exchanges with people.
Absolutely. I love that. Because that's where, like, that's my belief as well. Like everything is relationship, and that we have a relationship with everything and everyone in our lives. And, we have a relationship with food, with our money, with our bodies, with our God, or, with our careers, our education, all of those different things. And so it is an energy exchange. And we all have this energetic signature that we bring with us that leaves a lasting, it can transfer, right?
Absolutely.
And
I understand that, when I walk into a room, I am well aware of the light that exists within me. And people have said it to me. It took me years to kind of really fully embrace that and accept that. But I understand that exists. I also understand that I can also pick up, during these exchanges, you can pick up things that don't necessarily belong to you. So it's so important to continue for me to keep myself grounded, to getting back to, I like to think of it like a computer. Like I have to do my hard reset every now and then because in my travels day to day, you come across, different people, whether we're remote or not, the exchange is the exchange. And I have to remember to kind of recalibrate at the end of the day or the end of the week or whatever it is. Like, okay, anything that doesn't belong to me, please send it back to where it came from.
Yes.
Especially if it's not for my greater good, please send it back. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about that, right? You discover that empathy is, your that empathy is your special sauce, right? And I can relate to that because I know everything that I am was considered a soft skill and wasn't considered value, and I cared too much, and all of these things that they said, right? And so was there a special event or anything that helped you really see, like, wait, this is my jam. This is my special sauce. This is who I am. That I have the light. I have a light within me because I am the light, right?
Yeah.
Like, so what was that path to getting there? Like,
I will say that it's been a journey. It's obviously it all starts with some catalyst, right? And for me, I think it probably started for me with the decision I made to end my 10-year marriage. And that was not a decision I went into lightly. It had gotten to a place where I was probably the least healthy in my life, physically and mentally. I was struggling. And, you know, I was trying to convince myself that all the things that I was taught and told were the right way to go. You stay in your marriage, you fight for it. You do, you know, all of those things that I've been conditioned with was contrary to what my heart and what my body was telling me. The sickness was my body communicating to me. The messages are everywhere, and sometimes it's a, you know, matter of us to get quiet to listen. But the signs and the messages are consistent, and they you just have to you know, quiet yourself to hear them. Well, I didn't listen. I was going, and this is going to be, nope, this is what I signed up for. This is what we're going to do. And I landed myself in the hospital. And I will tell you, I'll never forget, for a couple of reasons, because I remember lying in the bed, and the doctor comes in and says to me, because what ultimately came out of it was that it was a minor stroke that landed me in the hospital. I thought I was having really bad, you know, piercing migraine headaches. And after all the tests were run, it was like, no, that's what this was. And I'll never forget, the doctor comes into the room. I'm alone in the hospital room, and it's a Black woman doctor, which, you know, we don't always see, right? But this woman comes in and she says, "You got lucky this time. And I need you to think about whatever it is that put you here. You really have some decisions to make to keep you from landing yourself here or worse. Again, you have to make a decision." And that stuck with me. Like, it was the rattling of the cage, the slap in the face, the cold water, you know, all of that. And like, it all came rushing to me at that one time. And I thought, I have to make some changes. I really have to. And the other thing that was in that same instance, you know, my children coming to see me in that bed. And I thought, no, I need to be here, one, for them. I need to make sure that, and I can't be there for them and show up as, you know, my true self if I'm not living my truth, if I'm not honoring what it is my mind and my heart and my body is telling me. And I did that. So that was the start of this journey. And I constantly consume, I read, I listen to podcasts, I watch documentaries. I'm always trying to search for, you know, the ever evolving piece that is me, right? So for me, it was, well, how do I make, you know, put one foot in front of the other? Because it didn't just happen like I got discharged from the hospital and then blew my whole life up. It was like, I really had to put some steps in motion. And understanding that a lot of the decisions that I was making was going to change my children's lives, was going to upset the comfort that other people saw, because people also get comfortable with seeing you a certain way, like, oh, yeah, that's you, and you're married, and you're over, you know, and having to explain that to family and friends and all of that was like, wait, no, that's, what do you mean, you know? But I just kept listening to what my gut was telling me was, this is the right thing for you to do. And that's what got me down this path. And I'm still growing. I'm 10 years out of that, and I'm still evolving, still growing.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. And, you know, it's, isn't it interesting how it's like fascinating to me how God places people in your path at just the right time, right? When you said that, I got chills when you mentioned that what the doctor said to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because in that moment, I felt like, wow, here is a physician who is looking past like the medical condition as far as this concern, and looking at the whole
woman
Yes.
and saying that there's more to this story. I care about you. And I don't know how you experienced it, but this is how I heard it, right? It's like, there is
Yeah.
more to this story. You matter to me. I care about you. And I know this isn't going to be easy, but you have some decisions to make. And when you know,
Absolutely.
like, yeah. Oh.
And I don't even know, when you talk about, I'm a big believer, there are no coincidences. Everything happens as it's supposed to happen. And I really do believe that had this doctor looked like any other doctor that I'm used to seeing, I might not have received that message in that way. I probably wouldn't have been delivered in that same way. But this was like every now and then, when you're in a room, right? And especially when you're in predominantly white spaces and you see someone that looks like you the head nod, and she really gave me this, and I heard it. My entire spirit, body, everything heard it. And it was scary. It was scary. And it was the one thing that I started to subscribe to, that, feel the fear, but do it anyway. Because for me, it was like, it's so easy to stay with what you know. It's so easy to stay with what's comfortable, and even predictable. And all of this was me stepping out on faith to literally change my life.
Wow. I just want to just pause for a moment just to celebrate that. It's because you made a decision, right? And sometimes we forget that we have a choice. Like, this podcast is called She Chose Joy, because it's reminding us that you get to choose it, right? You chose to reclaim your freedom.
Yeah.
And yes, it took all of these things to get you there. However, you made the decision, you made the shift, you thought about your children and how it would impact them. And so, I don't know, but it's time. Like, I have to do a slight celebration. Like, pause to acknowledge that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too, because we talk often about how we're just always on to the next thing. We're climbing, and we never take a second to stop and survey where we've come from or what we've accomplished. I know that's something that's still a part of the work that exists within me, is that I don't stop and celebrate not my successes. I don't stop and kudos. I'm starting to do that. Speaking of Issa Rae, I'm really starting to do that whole mirror talk thing, where I'm like, girl, you cute. Girl, you look good today. Look at you. You killed that presentation. And it sounded silly, in the beginning, but now I look forward to those mirror conversations.
You know what, I want to share this quick story with you, right? So when my oldest granddaughter was about 3, she and I were in Home Goods, and in the one aisle, there were nothing but mirrors, right? On both sides of the aisle. And I got such a kick out of her, right? Because she was doing her mirror work at 3, and she would walk, she walked to the mirror and she looked at herself and she said, "You look cute." Then she walked to the next mirror and she said, "You look cute."
I love it. I love that.
Yes. And
it does. It makes me think so much about, we do talk about a lot of the things that we heal from, or from, necessarily some traumatic things that may have happened to us, as children. But the other piece of the healing for me is exactly what you said. It's going back to like the innocence of it, the things that I found to be fun, like I see it in my own, 4-year-old that I have now. And that is my constant reminder to go, like, I do the little things, like, when was the last time you had a dance party in the living room? Or when was the last time you just got up and just shook just for no reason? I mean, others do weird things, right? She'll just get up and just start dancing. I'm like, there's no music playing? And she's like, it's in my head, you know? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to remember that it's those little things. So part of, you know, that healing and evolving is all like getting back to the root of what was easy and what was fun in my childhood. That's part of reclaiming my freedom too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing, in those moments, we have so much more empathy for a child than we do for adults, right? And so being able to look at, like, seeing yourself in that childlike version of you, like you said, with going back to it, can really be so valuable. And so my little honey bun, they call me honey and they're my honey buns. And so she didn't look in the mirror and say, oh, your eyes will look bad. Or, oh, you need to fix your hair. She was like, you look cute. You look cute. And she went down the aisle and she kept telling herself, you look cute. And so she taught me, she reminded me of something that day. And so, like you said, in terms of like a part of reclaiming your freedom is sometimes going back to the basics, going back to the innocence, going back to that pure, truest version of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You made me think of something too, because I did this exercise. First of all, the other part of this growth is investing in myself, right? Whether it's in the form of therapy, whether it's with a career coach, whether it's even in evaluating your group of your circle, your group of friends, the people who you are around the most. I had to do all of those things, and all of those things I considered an investment in myself. But one of the exercises that came out of whether it was my coach or my therapist, they're so interchangeable at this point because they have similar roles in my life. But was this exercise to find a young picture of yourself, and speak to her, you know, and look at her and talk to her consistently. So in addition to that whole mirror work where I'm talking to me, that is me today, I did this exercise where I would speak to this picture of myself, but then I would write her a letter and talk to her about all the things that, you know, that little girl wished someone would have said to her, or show her the love and admiration that she didn't even know the magic that she had. She just wasn't aware of it because no one pointed it out to her. And that's also part of the healing too. I didn't realize that I needed that to even help propel me even forward.
Yeah, it's magical, isn't it? And and the thing is, it's so simple, yet so powerful, right?
Yeah.
Like we see pictures all the time, but we don't always. We're sometimes spending time like, oh, where were we when we took this? Like that type of thing. Yeah. But we're not always looking in the eyes of this child. Yeah. We do a similar exercise to that in my Reclaim Your Love Story program, as well as another program that I do. So yes, different versions of it, but it absolutely is powerful.
Similar impact. Yeah.
When we were talking during our pre-call, you mentioned seeing a photo, someone sharing a photo of you when you were a teen. What happened there? Yeah,
that was it, again, yet another opportunity for me to remember, one, how far I've come, but where I was in that moment. And a friend from high school recently shared some old yearbook photos when I was maybe 14 or 15 years old, and they sent it over, and I instantly looked at the picture and thought, wow, that little girl never smiled. That was, I remember that hardened face. I remember that, you know, wanting to be big and bad and strong and all of that stuff. And I just looked at that picture for a while and thought, wow, first of all, this little girl has no idea what turns and twists her life is about to take. But then I thought too about what would I say to her? What if I could? You talk about, like, you know, think about Back to the Future. Like, if I can get a message to her to let her
Yes.
know it's going to be all right. What would I
Mhm.
say to her? And I think overwhelmingly, if I had a message to give to 14-year-old Ty, is to trust your gift, trust your instincts. They are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for. If it doesn't feel right, even if I wasn't on that spiritual path at that
Mhm.
age, I knew when something didn't feel right.
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
didn't know enough to trust it. And if I
Yeah.
could give that, piece of advice to help, 14 or 15-year-old me, it would be, that is your power. Trust that.
Mm. Well, thank you. Because now you've just gifted that to
Yeah.
everyone who listens. And
Yeah.
so that
Yeah. It's so,
teenage Ty, yeah, it's go ahead, I interrupted
yeah, I
you.
think we all need to be reminded of that,
Mhm.
is that we all have gifts.
Mhm.
Some of us can sing, some of us can sing, some of us can, paint and but your gifts exist in so many different forms, and you don't just have one.
Mhm.
That's the other thing,
Mhm. Mhm.
and understanding, and even just having somebody remind you that your
Mhm.
gift exists might just be all you need to kind of to get you through a rough patch, to get you through the next
Mhm.
day, to even spark the next idea, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Earlier you were talking about relationships, right? And you were talking about your relationship with your male person, and that is an energy exchange. And we've talked about your empathy being your own special sauce, right? And and now we talked about even trusting your gifts. How does that all play a role into you becoming the relationship whisperer?
Yes, yes, that is my self-proclaimed stamp right now, and it actually came out of an exercise that I did with my career coach, because again, me investing in myself, right? Trying to
Mhm.
understand what your strengths are, what your gifts are, and all of that
Mhm.
wonderful stuff. Shout out to Cheryl Jackson. I
Yes. Shout out. We can pause
um,
right there. Shout out to Cheryl Jackson,
yes,
from
yes,
Grit and
Cheryl
Grace
Jackson.
with Cheryl. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so important that, and and she knows this. I've said this to her. This woman has helped, change my life. But she gave us these exercises of, really trying to put a stamp on what your personal brand was, and who you are, and a lot of that has to
Mhm.
do with who you are authentically. So bringing all those pieces together, understanding that empathy is my superpower, and I'm really good at the energy exchanges, and my ability to trust my gifts and read a room and
Mhm.
read body language, and all of those things that,
Mhm.
being good at understanding what's not being said. So
Yes.
understanding all of that, and I say I proclaim that I'm the relationship whisperer. Cheryl actually gave me that name,
Mhm.
and it sticks. It definitely sticks, because for me,
Mhm.
I think people really understand how to do their job. They know how to go from point A to point B. And oftentimes they miss, like I said, a lot of what's
Mhm.
not said in the exchanges that kind of help propel you forward.
Mhm.
So whether it's, an exchange at work during a meeting where, you might say a word and you can read the body language, like, oh, you don't disagree,
Right.
or you don't agree with what I'm saying, or that sort of thing. But that has been a part of my journey. So as the relationship whisperer, I am able to sort of understand and use that in my day to
Mhm.
day, whether it's in the boardroom or whether it's in the classroom. So I'm
Yeah.
able to do that to help me, not only just like walk through life and get stuff done, but maybe I can encourage somebody in the process,
Mhm.
or maybe
Yeah.
I can help someone realize with my gift what their gifts are.
Beautiful, beautiful. And see, that's the power of investing in yourself, right? Another decision,
Ooh,
like you started the conversation talking about decisions having to be made. That was a powerful decision. Yeah. And
yeah, one that was not an easy one to make. It was scary to do that again, but again,
mhm,
feel the fear and do it anyway.
mhm.
Because
Yeah.
as a mom, as a single mom, it's you're constantly talking yourself into reasons why you shouldn't do things solely for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not everyone, but I know me. I know I will go, well, I don't need that pedicure. I probably should spend that on extra school supplies, or I shouldn't.
Mhm.
And what I was doing in what I learned I was doing was telling the world, telling myself subconsciously, telling the universe, whatever you subscribe to, that I didn't need it. I wasn't worthy. I,
Mhm.
I wasn't worth the investment. And so as I
Mhm.
started to make those decisions that weren't easy, but that served me,
Mhm.
investing in myself, and with the outcome being that it didn't benefit anyone other than me, the universe started to listen, like, oh, you
Yeah.
value yourself, girl. Let me send you some more blessings here. Let me send you a
Mhm.
couple of opportunities. And
Yes.
I mean, that's how I'm here, with you. I chose to invest in myself and met you, along the way. So, I'm so filled with gratitude,
Yes.
because I felt the fear. I chose to do what felt right for me. And exchanges like this feel like a reward.
Yeah. And there were so many, like, I just want to celebrate you because what I know to be true is not only did you make that decision to invest in yourself, right? That's a part of reclaiming your freedom as well, is like releasing the shackles of that comes with having to always sacrifice for
Yeah.
others and not necessarily be of service of you, right? And so
Yeah.
investing in you is a decision to be of service of you, and working with that, though through those activities and through Cheryl Jackson. And no, I don't have a problem celebrating that's my sister in love. And I am excited to celebrate her here. Not only did you invest, but you actually showed up and engaged. You did the work. You took the steps. You were in action. You didn't just show up expecting the process to work just to work for you. You were actively taking the necessary steps, and you were
Yeah.
rewarded greatly, right? I believe you
I,
doubled something.
I did. I definitely did. Financially, spiritually,
Mhm.
emotionally, all of those things. We talk about, being rewarded tenfold. I mean, absolutely.
Mhm.
I think I have seen shifts in every area of my life. Ever since we're going on 2 years now since I first made that
Mhm.
decision to invest, and my life does not look anything remotely like what it once did, and that's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
And I look
Mhm.
forward to what it's going to look like in another 2 years, in another 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part in all of this, is that, this journey is, I say it all the time, I'm never not doing the work. It does
Mhm.
not end for me. So as I continue to evolve, and understanding that I have to show myself some compassion
Mhm.
when I
Yeah.
revert back to old ways, or maybe don't handle things in the best way. I have to have some compassion and forgiveness for myself, but
Mhm.
understand that the healing, keeps going. The journey still is still going on.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited about where what else is in store for you. I am celebrating, like, I get pumped up. My husband teases me all the time because I get excited for other people all the time. Some people I've never even met, but I hear things and I'm like,
Yes,
guess what? You know,
yes,
it's
yeah.
like
I
I'm like so
totally understand
excited.
that.
Right. And just to know of you, to have experienced you, I am like grateful that I get to witness parts of your journey and to see you continue to rise and step into, to continue to step into the highest and truest version of you. And
Yeah.
and you're here because I get to experience it in this way. Um
That just brings me so much joy. It really, really does, because one of the things when you start manifesting and you start planning out and being intentional about what it is that you want to have out of life, one of the things that, without even knowing all of the details, was I wanted sisterhood. I wanted friendships that were meaningful, that were, that pumped me up, but also gave it to me, real as well. And I have found that, every day I am running into or meeting someone, or, that turns into this, like what we have right now. I mean, you don't know it yet, but you are my sister for life. And you're not going to be able to get rid of me now, but it's one of those things that I prayed for this. And I didn't know what it was going to look like, and I didn't know how it was going to come. I just only hoped that it would, and it just sort of stumbled, into it, simply by me making the decision to choose myself.
Yes, that's the power of saying yes to you, right? And I love it. And you don't have to worry about me trying to get rid of you. It may be the other way around. It's like, Melanie, you're too close. Just back up. Give me some space here, right? But yeah, it's like you say yes, and God says you're welcome. You say, yes, God, I'm ready for more. I'm saying yes to this. I am trusting you. And it's like, here you are, my darling. Here you are. Enjoy. Yes. And you say, yes, and thank you, God. More, please. And it's like, boom, here you are. You're welcome, my
and
darling.
It's even greater. It's greater than I could have even, anticipated, So I always try to talk through not putting limitations on, what it is that I'm asking for, whether, if I'm praying, meditating, whatever it is I'm putting out there that I want. I'm not being so specific in that I'm putting limitations on it. So I always end with this or something greater, right?
Yes.
And this is my something greater, right? I continue to get like the sprinkles on top of my sundae with the cherry on top. And it's like, if you remember old school like infomercials, it's like, but wait, there's more.
But wait.
And that's what that's what life is feeling like for me right now.
So, fun fact about me, that's my favorite part of the infomercials. I wait for the but wait, there's more. Order now and you'll get two.
I love how they would always like play it down. Like it usually costs $200, but you'll get it for 16 easy payments of, and it still equals $200 somehow, but you still think you're getting a deal.
I love it. I love it. And so as we sit here chuckling and chatting it up, I know, when we chat, we could go on and on.
Absolutely.
But, and even talking about putting limitations on your prayers, that's a totally different podcast. So we may have to, if you're open to it, I'd love to have you back and we could talk about that.
Absolutely. You're right. You're absolutely right. That is a completely different conversation. Yes, I would. I am open to that, and I would love that.
That's another segment. And so before you go, I must ask, what are some of the things that bring you joy?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Obviously, my children, they're a great sense of pride and joy for me. Each of them, I have three, and they all amaze me in very, very different ways and challenge me as well. But that brings me joy. The little things, right? It's the little things in life. I was thinking about that when you asked me before we were talking, like, what brings you joy? And I thought, it's simple things like when a song that you haven't heard in a while comes on at the radio and it hits you in a moment, you're at the red light and you're like, ooh, yes, I remember this. And then you remember this to remember all the words, and you start, that brings me joy. Laughing till I cry brings me joy. A good, bath brings me joy. So yeah, it's like I said when we were talking earlier, like it's getting back to some of the basics from my childhood. So a dance party,
Yes.
coloring, like little
Mm-hmm.
things like that to take my mind off of the fact that I'm an adult and responsible for other human beings, and I just get to be me. Those are some of the things that I think bring me joy.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Speaking of songs, like Level Up has been my jam for the last couple of weeks. Sierra's
Yeah.
Level Up. So I've been dancing to it and
Yes.
it's like, oh, the song is so yummy. Oh, the sauce is so yummy. You know you want
And I
this
know
yummy.
yummy is
Yummy
I
all
know
in
you
my
love
tummy.
yummy.
Yes, but it also
Yes,
reminded me
yes,
of
yes.
how I need to get back to working out because I tried to dance at the pace she was going to the video. And that was the longest 3 minutes and 31 seconds of my life.
And that understanding where I am challenged is I would never try to dance like Sierra. Like that is not my gift. That is not my secret sauce. And I will leave that to the lovely Sierra to do.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even try her moves. Just trying to dance at the pace was enough for me. Yes. And so, what are you most grateful for right now in this moment?
In this moment, I am grateful, one, for the opportunity to have this conversation with you. This truly a bright spot for me today and this week. I am grateful for, my health,
Yes.
mentally, physically, all of the, and especially in this day and age, we cannot take those things for granted. So I am definitely grateful for my health. I am thankful for and grateful for my circle. I
Mm.
mean, the women that hype me up. That I mean, you talk about it. It goes down in the group chat. Like
Yes.
we are hyping each other up. We are talking each other off of ledges. We are sending each other copays at this point because of the therapy sessions that we have. But I am grateful for that, and I'm grateful for my ability to just stay open and understand that no matter what, this or something greater could be right around the corner. So I stay in gratitude, knowing that in any moment that could shift in a great way.
Awesome. Awesome. And one last thing, are there any closing thoughts that you would like to share about to a woman who's hearing this but still on the fence about reclaiming her freedom?
Ooh, yeah, I would say to anyone, I as someone who's felt stuck, as someone who's been afraid, as someone who's been at the end of her rope, allow yourself to get quiet and truly listen to what's being said to you. You'll be able to discern what is being said out of fear and anxiety, and what's being said when it's your spirit talking to you, when it's when it's your instincts kicking in, and listen to that, and don't be afraid to push past those feelings of fear, because there is something beautiful on the other side of it. Trust me, there is so much joy on the other side of all of that fear.
Awesome. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for coming out to play with us, with me,
thank
with us,
you.
for the listeners. I'm just deeply honored that you said yes. Grateful that our paths crossed, and we'll just be joined at the hips. Like we didn't even plan to wear the same colors today, and look, here we are having this like synchronized moment, right?
I know. And had I taken out my contact lenses, we could have done the glasses thing too. So call me next time. We'll figure this out. But no, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. This was amazing for me. And I just, I celebrate you. I value you. You are an amazing, human being. And, so much of your light, the light that you see in me, is what I see in you as well. So I want you to know that as well.
Thank you. I received that. I received that. Well, I guess you all can see why I invited her to join us in the She Shows Joy platform, right? This is a space where we get to share yummy conversations with my sister, and we talk about all things love, joy, and freedom. And so, by all means, share this podcast with others. Share the joy. We get to grow and choose into our joy and our freedom together. And I'll leave you with this. Your freedom lies within your decision to say yes to what you want, yes to who you are, and yes to what you stand for. So, will you stand for reclaiming your freedom in whatever way that looks like for you today? Will you say yes to that? So, I'll leave you with that. And so long, my sisters.
Mwah.